I like him going in this week.
I love him. I might love him for this whole tournament. Like the way he's
It's
been rolling, he's got the most podiums out of anyone yet.
it's scary. It's scary watching him race.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome in. This is episode 7 of Yellow's Marblecast. We're going to be going over week 10 review and week 11 preview.
Week 10. I'm going to do my best this week to keep the mic in my mouth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And not fly it around. I definitely heard the comments for that. But honestly, it's been good comments, good results all the way around.
Absolutely.
We love the critiques, and it's been a success so far.
100% appreciate everyone's critiques. We're going to try and get at least one thing better every time we record.
Absolutely.
Today's episode is keeping the mic next to our mouths.
Keep the mic in my mouth.
Now let's get to the topic at hand, which is these marble athletes and the final 12 that we now have. I think there's no better place to start than Minty Maniacs, and I don't know how else you can say it, but extremely disappointing week this week.
So it's tough, and we talked about it too. It's tough to see him go.
Yeah.
But you're going to lose a good franchise. You're going to lose a good marble every week now.
Yeah.
We're down to the final 12 after this week. You're going to lose a franchise and a program that you don't want to lose.
Absolutely.
And we saw that this week with the Minty Maniacs.
100%. But it's just, I think it's the way that it happened that was so heartbreaking for their fans to see them fall victim to the spinning maces, not one, but 2 times. You have to think that once it happened the first time, it got in their heads.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you can say the same thing about the snowballs, and I'm sure we'll talk about them too.
Yeah.
Another fan base that probably is really upset because they battle injury.
Yeah.
You hate to see a racer go down with injury. That's the reason why they leave.
That's another big part of this style tournament is that these racers are racing every day, so there's really no time for recovery. And we harped on it on Monday's last week's show. After the first race, Snowballs put up a 1. They came in last place. It was pretty clear that they were dealing with the repercussions of that swatter injury.
Huge.
Yeah.
It had major effects. And we saw that early. As we look 1, 5, 4, they just never had it all week.
Yeah.
It's a shame because, I think Snowdrift races better than that normally.
Absolutely.
But you know what? That's why this competition is so good.
Yeah.
Because you have to stay healthy. You have to be good consistently through, 13 weeks, whenever long this program is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. So definitely sad to see the Snowballs go, but it was an uphill battle for them, almost quite literally with the injuries they were dealing with. But Minty Maniacs is a team that we had held in the same esteem as Raspberry Racers, Chocolatiers.
Absolutely.
Who just podiumed, and Raspberry Racers have been doing just so well this entire tournament. And to see them go, it's just a shame. It's just the spinning maces got in their head. It got in their way.
Just wasn't their week.
No.
Like you said, spinning maces definitely got in their way, got in their head. Just wasn't their week though. And that happens. I have nothing bad to say about them.
Yeah.
But, you have to have a little bit of luck in this competition. And definitely their luck ran out.
Absolutely. And I think we can talk about it. We can start moving into the track here. I think one of the biggest reasons, like we only saw the spinning maces get triggered, I believe it was 2 or 3 times this entire week. And that's an obstacle that has a big trigger that's jutting out to the side.
And we talked about it on last week's pod. A lot of good obstacles, a lot of ones that were interesting this week.
Yeah.
And I'll begin with the chaos tubes.
A new obstacle.
New obstacle, and we kind of debated this. They didn't really have much effect for me.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Obviously, they were kind of a highlight of the week here because they're new, but I didn't see much of that and how it affect the racers that much.
Yeah, I think everyone was pretty confused because after the first race they didn't trigger, and I think everyone was kind of like, "What are the purposes?
What are they doing?"
And then, But it was kind of a shock to see a bunch of little black pellets spilling out in the second race.
For sure, we kind of were confused early on in the week. I think we both were.
Yeah,
we're like, what is this obstacle? What's going on?
Absolutely. Yeah. But no, I think it was more so. Like, it wasn't necessarily to DNF any people or really hinder them in any way besides just causing chaos, which is why I think they're named that way. Just having all these different round things rolling along with you is a little bit daunting, And Greg put it well in the last race of the week when there were marbles battling for that last safety spot. He just said, "This is not the day that I want to be dealing with this," and I resonate with the teams that were down there, like Resi, Snowdrift, Minty Maniacs, all the teams that were dealing with those tubes, as we can see on the screen here, and I'll put into the clip later. But it threw a little bit of a change up at you. It was dumpster-esque, but just without the dumpster effect.
I would agree. I like that analysis. The one thing I noticed as well, and I wanted your opinion on, I liked the placement of the obstacles this week.
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting. And the other thing I noticed this week, and we saw it in this current week's track, is the location of the fidget spinners.
yeah,
Yellow seems to love messing with these fidget spinners.
yeah. He does.
And we saw it, obviously having watched the race this week, watch it. Spoiler alert, but he put those fidget spinners this week, and I don't want to get ahead, right next to those ball bearings.
Yeah.
It
Oh
seems
yeah.
like every week he puts these fidget spinners in different spots that it kind of confuses the racers a little bit. I like it. I'm starting to notice that on week 10 now. I start to look out where that fidget spinner is.
Pick up little nuances like that,
Absolutely, and that's a little like touch he puts in there.
and I love. I mean, it's such a scary obstacle. That thing is rotating at such a fast rotations per minute that like if you're not ready for where it's going to be, which is what like to your point where he's just putting it next to different obstacles, these racers
Yeah.
really have no way to prepare for it until they get a good look at the track in race one. And just going back to the spinning maces only going off 2 times this week. I did like this track. I thought it had a ton of potential, but I just am not sure that it lived up to the potential because so many of the obstacles didn't trigger. And the reason that Minty Maniacs got stuck twice is because that thing just didn't trigger. Like marbles were bound to get stuck there. The O Rangers would have if it wasn't for the Minty Maniacs in that second race. They were headed for that same exact area, but bounced right off Minty and pushed them deeper in the maces.
I would agree with that. I think we're talking like I mean it's tough because we came off a track that was so action
Oh,
packed.
absolutely.
So it's tough, and we kind of mentioned that last week.
Yeah.
I thought this week was better racing. I
Okay.
don't think the obstacles were as exciting, but I thought the racers performed better than the week prior.
Absolutely.
I thought we saw better racing. I thought we saw more exciting racing. Um, it's as much as we love the obstacles, it's not always about the obstacles, right? It's about the strategic maneuvers of the racers, and I think we saw that this week.
Yeah, and whereas we touched on, I think you said it last week that you were more excited about the track than you were the racing. I think this week was the total opposite.
Flip.
I really loved the like what we saw out of the results and what kind of I don't know trends and just fun, exciting things happened, especially towards the back of the pack in that later races.
100%. I mean,
And the track just didn't really have the spotlight this week.
no, it didn't. And not to jump ahead, but can we talk about my limers? I mean,
Yeah,
can we
absolutely.
go there?
I think we're good to talk. I think we're done with the track. Let's jump into the races. And if you want to start with limers, let's go there.
I have to. I'd be remiss if I didn't.
Oh no,
But,
100%.
got a little slack in the comments about my pick for limers.
Yeah.
I still like my pick. Obviously, it turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
But really a tough day 2 and day 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you talked to me Wednesday to Thursday morning, I was not happy at all. 2 DNFs back to back. On races, I thought we didn't look too bad.
No.
And I'm probably biased saying this, but we looked good up until the DNF, until we got stuck. I believe in race 2, we were like leading that race, or even maybe in the top 3 before we got stuck there.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, look, the back-to-back DNFs was terrifying. It must have been scary for you, especially after a second place finish in the first race. But if you look at the rest of the week, it's unbelievable. To finish a top 5 marble with 2 DNFs is incredible. Minty Maniacs had 2 DNFs, finished last place. So
it's tough to bounce back with 2 DNFs.
absolutely,
It really
to
is.
see that they have that in them must have been a promising.
It's a
thing
good
for you.
feeling, and I thought we raced really well. Even like I said, even in the DNFs, I thought we raced well. I'm not going to pick them this week to win it all again on my podium, but I'm confident going into this week. We're racing well. We're rolling at the good time.
100%.
This is where we want to be peaking, not peak. We're peaking.
You're
right
peaking.
now.
You're not up there yet.
We're not peak.
But take away those 2 DNFs, and you're competing with Bumblebees, who let's get into next. Unbelievable week. Top 5 finishes in every single race until that final race, which is what like we've seen those racers at the top doing. Take that final race off. You're already safe. Take that final race off. They did that last week too.
And I think Swax worked that perfectly.
Yeah.
And we both mentioned it Saturday. I think we said, hey, weren't there 6 to 7 racers that were safe after moving day on Saturday?
Yeah.
I think there was.
Even more.
Really smart move by Swax there.
Absolutely.
Really smart. And he's been top of the rankings, I would say, usually in the top 7, top 5. But you know what? He's playing smart.
Listen to this. He's got 3 podiums in the last 3 weeks, all second place finishes. He's got second. This week he was tied for the first place finish, but because his round 7 was lower than Thunderbolts were able to get that gold.
Yeah.
But Bumblebees, 3 straight second place finishes with also taking that rest day in race 7. I think he's figured out the blueprint.
If you're a Bumblebees fan, how can you not be happy?
You got to be over the moon.
You have to be over the moon.
Unless you're a little bit worried about still that stamina effect, but with that race 7 rest,
I like him going in this week.
I love him. I might love him for this whole tournament. Like the way he's been rolling, he's got the most podiums out of anyone yet.
It's scary. It's scary watching him race.
Absolutely. Let's see what else we got here. Chocolatiers, they got the podium that we talked about last week. They got the podium they needed.
Interesting, because as we look at the standings here, we kind of talked about it a couple weeks ago. Do you need to start off hot to podium?
Yeah.
And look at a team like the Chocolatiers. Bon did not start off hot.
That's a great point. I didn't even have that note.
And you know what? For all you fans, obviously we're filming this Monday night. Maybe your racer didn't come in the top 5, top 7 this Monday. You still got a shot.
Exactly.
I mean, look at the past results. You're not dead. If you DNF week 1 or race 1, you still got a shot. And the Chocolatiers are a great example of that. Tough start. If you're not in front of the stats, 5-4 on the first 2 days.
Yeah.
And they managed to podium. So
that's resiliency.
Bon showed a lot of fight.
And it's something that we've been talking about this entire, as long as we've had this podcast, is that you need to start hot in order to finish well. But this is kind of a one outlier that I at least can remember.
I would agree.
Bon, I guess he's a captain too. It might be the captain leadership.
I would agree. I think it's probably that captain leadership, that experience.
Yeah.
He knows, hey, it's a 7 race week.
Yep.
Right. So he's playing the long game. He showed up big. I mean, look at round 5, 17, round 7, 17. Those are top finishes.
Unbelievable. 2 first place finishes on the week. That's
in the last 3 races.
That's what you need to make it up.
That's what you need.
Absolutely.
Not even to, not get eliminated. He podiumed.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable.
He thrived. But
does he fade away? Is he tired?
That thought popped into my head just now, because the opposite of Bumblebees, he needed to scrap back and use a lot of energy to get there. Could that make him falter in the next week?
Or does he ride that momentum into next week?
We'll have to wait and see. I don't really quite remember where he finished on Monday's race, but that's something to keep an eye on for sure.
Absolutely.
Just not to rub it in on the Minty Maniacs and Snowballs fans. I know Snowballs were injured. I know Minty had a bad week, but neither of them cracked the top 6 all week. That's a recipe for losing.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, you had your 2 DNFs, but the Limers were able to get over that hump. Minty Maniacs couldn't do it. So it's really, I don't know. It feels like we have the right final 12. Would you agree with that?
I would agree. Obviously, there's one racer there I don't want there, but you know what?
Yeah.
It being non-biased, I think this is the right 12. I think these are great programs, and I think for racing fans everywhere, these are great fan bases that are going head to head.
100%. It's a good mix of like OG storied franchises and a little bit of some new names,
Cinderella type of programs that haven't really seen much success.
Yeah.
Against some programs that have been very successful.
But I will say, I feel like it's the 12 best that have performed in this event. I
would agree. The only one I would probably point at, and this obviously can be debated and will be in the comments, is Momo.
Yeah, 100%.
To go back to Momo, that's probably a racer that just bad luck there,
I would say
because he probably belongs in this top 12.
Agreed. 2 racers. I can think of one more, Rojo Rollers. Like those are 2 that performed amazing throughout this entire platform, Survival 100, and to see them go is sad. But
so play that game here for a second. If we're putting those 2 in, who are you taking out?
If I'm playing that game, I'm not taking out your Oceanics. I know you'd love me to say that.
Man. Get out.
It's tough. I mean, lately, maybe a team like Mellow Yellow. We're going to get into them in a minute, but it's hard. It really is. Jungle Jumpers, maybe a team that I actually did want to talk about this week anyway, because they also got injured. They were launched into the stands last week.
Yeah.
They had a slow start, but were able to rebound and make it through in the 6th spot. So they I guess maybe they escaped with less injury than the Snowballs, maybe.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, we're looking at this list now. I don't know. Oh man, I can't believe I'm going to say this, because you're not going to like it. A lot of the fans aren't, but the O-Rangers really haven't performed that well.
You got to make up your mind. One week you're saying the O-Rangers are the best team in the league. The next 2 weeks you're saying they should be out. What is it?
So what is it? I've been watching them now closely.
Yeah.
Obviously, after clearly the biggest fan base, I think, in the
I think so.
in the Marvelverse.
Yeah.
They're just very. You know what? They're very up and down. I think you can agree on that. Like
100%. I've been saying that to you every week.
But now, now we're down to 12 marbles. I can watch them a little bit more now and focus on them.
Absolutely.
Like I watch them race to race. I'm like, oh my god. I don't know if Mandarin's in front or he's in back. Like it's a little
and it
scary.
seems that when he is in front at the halfway point, he'll end up in the back, and then when he starts out in the back, he'll end up in the front. He doesn't know what he wants to do.
It's a little scary being a Rangers fan. I understand where you come from now.
It is
just because I watch him a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I might receive a lot of hate for that, but I'd probably put Momo in there above the O-Rangers.
Okay, I don't even hate it. I've been saying that. But speaking of these teams, O-Rangers. So there's been a lot of talk about the fruit circuit, because all the teams from the fruit circuit who are now in this race are still alive. So there were 4 teams going into this event that were from the fruit circuit. We got Raspberry Racers, O-Rangers, Limers, and Mellow Yellow. and all 4 of them are still alive.
Love it. I mean, love it.
It's just impressive stuff.
Storyline. You need storylines.
And it begs the question: should there be more marbles from the fruit circuit on this circuit? Because if all 4 are still alive, you got to think that some of even these lesser teams in the fruit circuit can compete here.
So it brings up a good question, because I kind of know where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
And I think there could be potentially maybe like a conference or like a rivalry, or even like, in NASCAR racing, it's like a team that all the racers play under.
That's interesting.
Have
all the conferences play against
maybe
each other.
That dynamic, Rangers is helping out the Limers.
Yeah.
That's going behind them. So it brings up a good conversation. Is that something we can develop into these races? I don't know. It's a good thing to talk about.
It could be idea for like just a new event, like the Marble Survival 100 is a new event. It could be kind of a cool thing, just like a conference battle,
like a team event.
But like I said, one thing, there's one team that stands out to me. I was doing a little bit of research on the fruit circuit. Not only is this a great name, but it's a well-performing marble. The Zoom Keenies.
Zoom Keenies.
Great name.
That is a sweet name.
It's a sweet name, and they performed well. I would love to see them, if they could just have one shot maybe at something like this.
What color is that marble?
Zoom Keenie. Zucchinis are like dark green.
I would say green.
I think they're green. And I think it's like a dark green, almost like a Jungle Jumpers maybe type.
Are there any Zoom Keenie fans out there, you think,
if
watching
there's some
this?
Zoom Keenie fans, and if you have seen this marble race, I actually haven't seen it in action. I was looking for some highlights, couldn't find them. But if you're a Zoom Keenie fan, or have even heard of them, drop a comment.
If somebody can find a Zoom Keenie t-shirt, I will be wearing that next pod. I will. Mark it down right now.
We will buy that Zoom
Keenie shirt, and we'll wear it right now on this pod.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
That's like, I think that would have to be my second favorite team if they were to enter
I kind of love it. I mean, I feel like I'm a Limer fan, so I can't say that.
Yeah. But, I'm an Rangers fan. Oh, we're a couple of fruit circuit guys.
Couple of fruit circuit guys here, yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to get that nugget in, that the fruit circuit is excelling in this. Maybe it's because they're fast marbles. Maybe it's just their play style. I'm not totally sure, but it goes to show that the fruit circuit is a strong circuit.
I would agree. I think it's a great storyline.
Yeah.
And you know what? Is it a rivalry? Is it a friendship? I don't know, but it's awesome to talk about. I don't know.
I think it used to be a rivalry back in the day, but now that these athletes are making money and they're a little bit more privileged, I think maybe it's it's softened a little bit and it's the more camaraderie.
And probably as the league expanded a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
it's more they have the same roots,
Yeah. I mean, it should be. I love it though.
Yeah,
I'm watching those fruit circuit marbles.
Absolutely. Watch the rise of some of those
awesome.
Those Zoom Keenie types. All right, let me jump in. We're gonna do what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. The winning team, Thunderbolts. We'll give them their flowers. I'll do a little bit of their backstory. You cool with that?
Go for it.
Because Thunderbolts are a team that I don't think a lot of people know about. I do know a few Thunderbolts fans, and I'm sure they'd love to hear about some of the history behind them.
Go for it.
Again, I don't know these by heart, so I have to do a little research. So I'm going to read off my notes. But they're from Thorsten, team in Northern Europe, probably Scandinavian. The original players were Bolta, Bolto, Bolti, and Boltu out of Northern Europe. As I said, they met at a mythology convention in 2012, and they're all dressed up as mythical creatures of the sky. So they're like some cosplay type guys.
Interesting.
It's interesting that athletes and cosplay. It's interesting.
Sure.
But none of them were actually capable of speaking. They noticed. So they actually, maybe that's because they're marbles. Maybe it's just because they couldn't speak. I'm not sure. But they spoke by rolling. So they rolled, and that was communicating to each other.
That checks out. I would agree.
Yeah, they all, through this rolling language, had realized that they all had an affinity for racing. So they joined the Kinkagen Marble League, the KML.
Okay.
Nick again? Not totally sure the pronunciation, but they joined the KML. They performed really well there, and they got promoted to the Marble League in 2016. However, they had some rough finishes. Their first year, they did solid, but they had some rough finishes. In 2019, they all had lost interest and retired.
Wow. Okay.
However, the manager, Thunderstorm, recruited 5 of their previous trainers to be part of the team.
Yeah.
And those are who you currently see racing now.
These were trainers of the original team. Huh?
Trainers of the original team. Wow. Yeah, who are now the racers. We got Thunder, Lightning, Bolt, Shock, and Zap. Shock, obviously running this competition and doing exceedingly well.
Yeah.
Back-to-back top 4 finishes, first place this week.
Yeah, that's interesting. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I think that's pretty much it. Just not much success so far. Their best finish was Marble League in 2016. Where they came in 3rd in their first time in.
I mean, that's cool. Honestly, I challenge all of you. Like, I didn't really know that at all about the Thunderbolts. Obviously, I know my own racers history, but like, if you're a fan of the Thunderbolts or any other program, like, look it up. I mean, that's some good info.
Absolutely.
It makes me kind of root for Shock now.
Like, me too.
Kind of gets me jacked up to like. Absolutely. Now I'm kind of rooting for Shock.
And that's the kind of thing. If you're new to the marble, if you're new to this whole world,
Yeah.
take a look at some of these teams' backstories and see what calls out to you, because that's a cool story.
That's an awesome story.
And they couldn't speak. They still can't. I mean, the trainers might be able to speak, so they can actually communicate. But yeah, to see Shock doing this well is a surprise.
That's awesome.
I think a surprise
we'll
to a
see
lot.
if it continues on, honestly.
We will. They've only gone up. They were 4th last week, 1 this week. We'll see. I believe they're finishing this this last race was solid as well. Yeah, 3rd place. So
3rd place, yeah.
So they're building.
Look good.
Any questions on that thunderstorm recap?
I don't think so. Let's go into the next
you want
this
to go?
week's track.
You
yeah,
go to the next
I'm jacked
track?
up. Talk about it.
Me too. Go take it away.
So just a
love?
couple obstacles I saw. Obviously I'm reading off here. The return of the dumpster.
Yeah, huge.
I think that's going to be a really popular obstacle this week. Honestly, I'm a fan of the dumpster, but I loved where the battering ram was this week.
100%.
That's kind of the highlight for me of this track.
Yeah, I love where both the dumpster and the battering ram are.
We'll talk about the dumpster a little bit and how it changed, and you can probably take that. But I thought the battering ram caught my eye. The placement of it. We mentioned before the fidget spinners and the ball bearings combo there.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the second thing I noticed. Obviously I love the dumpster. The return of the dumpster is awesome.
Yeah.
But I think battering ram and those fidget spinner ball bearings, those are the obstacles I noted.
That ball bearing section is really tough because all the marbles get fed right into that area. And if you time that wrong, if you can beat the ball bearings to that spot, that is massive. The O'Rangers were able to do that today. So was Team Primary, the teams that came in the top.
Yep.
And they ended up placing really well. Because if you get stuck behind the ball bearings and they magnetize and are like ripping around,
it's over.
It's over. You're not going to be able to catch up to the top racers. You're going to be in that backpack. But the dumpster.
Talk about the dumpster. I mean, you were very excited about it.
I was very excited for the dumpster to be back. It was 4 weeks gone, removed, but the dumpster is now different. It's the balls, they seem to have nerfed the obstacle because the balls used to be a little smaller. They were clear. They seem to catch marbles more. Now we have these white kind of bigger things. It almost looks like the Chaos Tube balls, but white. And it didn't really have much of an impact on
that was my question. Do you think
racers.
That's better for the racers? Worse for the viewer?
Well, obviously, I'm not a DNF guy. I know sometimes some other people are. Sometimes it is nice to see, like when Mandarin got caught up in that dumpster back in like week 4 or 5, whatever it was. That was really cool to watch.
Kind of helped them a little bit, didn't it?
No, they DNF'd because of it. They were caught in the dumpster.
Oh,
stuff.
I'm thinking of the racer that rolled with the dumpster.
Yeah, no, that can happen too. The dumpster can kind of go either way. So I like it for the DNF spot, but the way this track finishes, I don't know if you noticed the ending. It completely funnels down into one little section, as you can see there, and I'll put it on the YouTube as well. So I think that's why the dumpster could be cool this week, is because it can maybe catch up some marbles in that area. But I don't think we'll see any DNFs from it, which I'm kind of happy about. The jury's out. I'm going to wait to see what happens this week with it.
It should be. I mean, honestly, if you're going to tell me before this track, you're going to tell me a week where the dumpster is the third obstacle we're talking about.
Yeah,
it's probably a good track.
Absolutely.
And I think it was a good track. I mean, we saw a DNF.
Jungle jumpers on the crazy chevron. That's another theme. They can't seem to get away from that crazy chevron.
Yeah, the
crazy
them into chevron is just consistently a problem.
It is.
It's always a problem. It really is. But you know what? It's another good track. I was watching the race back and back and back. Those fidget spinners, I just, that combo scares the crap out of me.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah.
The Limers kind of felt the effect of it today. But overall, what would you rate this track? I mean, I wish we had our ratings from last week.
Absolutely. Well, last week I believe we gave like a 7.5 because the jury was still out.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's around there.
What we did see this week is that we actually saw for the first time in week 1, we saw some obstacles fire.
Correct.
We saw almost all the obstacles fire, and we also saw one DNF, which I know I'm not a DNF guy, but it's almost the first time that we've seen a DNF in week 1.
I think we noted last week. It's like race 1, it doesn't seem to trigger many obstacles.
The marbles are feeling it out.
Yeah, it's a little like, but this week was very the dumpster triggered on day 1, which I think was the first time in this event. Yeah, it was crazy. So I would agree with you. Go ahead though. What's your rating?
Yeah. Again, it's a track that plays really fast and then converges and then plays fast and then converges. I really like the multi-dimensional aspects that it brings. So
I'd agree.
I'll give it an 8 out of 10, and I think it can go up potentially. I really like it.
I like it too. I was going to go 8.5, to be honest.
Okay.
With you. I like it better than last week's.
That might be the first time I've gone above you in a rating.
I went above you. You said 8. I said 8.5.
Oh.
Yeah. I said 8.5.
Where's my brain?
Yeah, I like the track. I like the combo. almost like a 1-2 punch kind of
Yeah,
feel.
absolutely.
And I think that's the first time we felt this in this, this event, this
100%.
competition. So I kind of like it for that fact. It's not the most flashy track. There's not 100 obstacles out there, even though there's a good amount.
Yeah.
But it's that 1-2 punch I liked.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to touch on this track before we get into our picks?
I don't, but I want to get your reaction to the results here.
Okay, yo, let's do that. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right. Monday's results.
race one, Monday's results. Obviously, we're filming this on a Monday.
Yep. It's
After race one, we're in week number 8.
11.
Oh man, I do that every single time.
You're never good
Week
at
number
tracking.
11,
That's okay. I got that. Look,
race
event 11 right there.
71, week 11.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a pod I've said that the right
No,
week.
I don't think so either. It's okay.
But what's your reaction? Obviously, our Rangers placed well. What's your initial thoughts?
I mean, it's a little bit of a mix-up of all the results of last week. Team Primary, we saw just narrowly escape. Now they're sitting up at the top. Rangers, another team that was, I believe they came in 10th last week. They were safe on Saturday and then rolled poorly on Sunday, but they're in second. And Thunderbolts and Chocolatiers were two teams at podium. So the top of the leaderboard, I don't know. It's interesting. It's hard to make judgments on race one, but I think Team Primary and Rangers attacked this course really well. They beat the ball bearings, which is something I said before, which I think is going to be a key blueprint for this track for the rest of the races to now take into account going forward. And Jungle Jumpers at the bottom, Purple Rockets at the bottom, two teams that, like we said, if we had to take two teams out of this, maybe it might be those two, just two little bit younger teams. Jungle Jumpers still maybe playing with some injury, can't seem to get over that crazy chevron, and maybe they were afraid of it, and that's why they ran into it and just stopped. So I don't know. What you got any reactions on it? On these first standings?
Yeah, obviously the Limers didn't really race that well. I think it's still a feeling out process. It kind of makes sense. I mean, we'll go into our picks here soon. Nothing too off the page for me. Nothing too crazy.
We'll see how it plays out.
Even I don't necessarily agree with you on the Jungle Jumpers. I think they still have a really good shot to do well. I think it's a bad break. And the one thing we learned about this event is one race isn't going to define you.
Yeah. A good start helps, but you can come back.
Absolutely. Now, if the Jungle Jumpers come out and put up a 9th-place finish, then you're starting to get worried if you're a Jumpers fan.
But it's still not done.
I think we're going to learn a lot about these racers come Tuesday, Wednesday.
And I also think that now that we're down to 12 and then more and more we go down, there's we've always been saying there's going to be nowhere to hide. But now it's really, if you string together a couple of bad starts, it's going to be real hard to climb out of a hole because there's less people to overtake now, less points on the board to gain.
Yeah, I would agree. The only question I had when I was thinking about this and I watched the race is, does a DNF hurt you more now that we're down to 12, down to 10, down to 8? Is that, if you're the Jumpers, are you concerned even more now?
Statistically, I'm trying to think if that actually has any effect. I'm not sure it does, but maybe mentally, I think it might. It's just, you have a 0. It's just having that 0, especially out of the gate. You want to put up at least a number.
It's more like in your head than anything.
I think so.
I think just not getting through the whole track.
Right. You actually haven't even seen the bottom.
That's the problem. Like, Jumpers probably haven't seen the dumpster.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know what the track.
That's a very good point.
So that could be something that could affect them race 2.
100%.
Go into your picks here.
Okay.
I think last week I picked my picks. So
I'll hop
give me
in.
your picks.
So you want to do 1 winner, 2 losers, right?
That's usually 1 winner, 2 losers.
Okay.
I like that.
I have 2 winners written down here. I'm trying to think which one I like better.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to give one. It's a team that I have continued to love. It's a team that I've liked a lot from the start. They finally podiumed last week. I think they've proven that now they can do it. I really like the Chocolatiers again. I think their finish on last week is going to carry good momentum, and as we saw on Monday, they finished 4th place. So I like where they're at right now.
I like it. A team we talked about a lot. We absolutely love this racer. I think the Bumblebees. We said it.
Hard not to.
I'm a Limers fan. I'm very scared.
Yeah.
Swax. I'm very scared. I think, not a great start. Again, we picked these picks before this race.
Right.
I don't care that he placed in 9th.
Yeah.
I really don't. He's terrifying.
100%.
If I'm a fan of any other racer in this competition, I'm scared of
Absolutely.
Swax.
I mean, if you're looking at the last 3 weeks, 3 podiums, 3 second places, it's nothing to sneeze at.
I mean, let's go back to last week, and we're looking at it now. It's just, it's scary. The
top 5 every day. It's insane.
It's scary. Hit me with your losers. I mean, we're going 2 losers.
No, we'll go 2 losers. I think I hinted at Jungle Jumpers. I still think they're playing hurt. I don't think they have what it takes. I feel a little bit validated with this 0 today. It's just, I don't know. I think it speaks for itself. The rest of the racers are so elite. You're going to have to work hard to get out of this hole. They're already in a hole. And the other team is Mellow Yellow, We just harped on the fruit circuit, but they're a team that did podium back-to-back weeks a few weeks ago, but we've only seen them kind of decline a little bit. Last week they did have a good finish, but I just think maybe with this whole fruit circuit thing, what are the odds that all the fruit circuit teams, continue to make it this deep? I think it's just statistically improbable.
See, I would disagree there.
Okay.
You know what? Mello Yella is Yella is a racer I thought has raced well. Finished strong last week.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him there. Obviously, that's why we make our picks. We're going to disagree, but
yeah,
I think Yella is looking good. I don't think he's a serious threat to place in that top 5 this competition, but I do think he gets along a couple more weeks.
Okay.
My losers.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. My losers for this week. The first one, again, it's hard because we see these fans now in the comments, which they've been fantastic. I mean, the comments and the likes and everything we've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
But you really see all the fans coming out.
Yeah.
And it's hard to talk bad about these racers now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Knowing the fans are in their corner.
We're impartial.
But Rezi. I'm going with Rezi.
Oh, no. Wow.
You know, a racer that didn't really have a great week last week. If you're really looking at the numbers, kind of got bailed out with that first place finish. I believe on Wednesday.
Yeah, you're right. Those are some mid numbers.
Mid numbers.
Yeah, very mid.
You know, not my first loser because I'm going to get to that in a second. But
you're worried.
I'm worried if I'm a Raspberry Racer fan.
That's fair enough.
I'm very worried.
After looking at those numbers, I didn't even realize that 17 and 11 were their 2 finishes. Other than that, they never scratched the top 6.
Agreed. And not to go along the, people are going to look at this and say, oh, he picked the two racers that finished last. But team primary. I mean, I picked this team this morning, a team that started off well.
Yeah.
Again, started off well this week.
Yeah.
But did not perform well late in the week.
I actually had a note written down. They went 2-2-2-4 over the span of the midweek, which was worse than the Minty Maniacs, worse than the Snowballs. It was just a brutal.
And got bailed out with the 2, good finishes Monday, Tuesday. And again, they finished, obviously, I believe, first, right, this week?
Yeah, they did.
So tough that I'm saying this now because I picked this before. But I still believe that they probably will be on the brink of elimination this week.
Fair enough.
2 unpopular probably picks. I'm
definitely
receive some hate for this.
Definitely, especially from we have a couple close friends who are Raspberry primary fans.
Absolutely, but you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns here.
Okay. As you should.
And I'm going to go with those.
As you should. And if that happens, you'll look a lot better for some bold picks.
Sure, I hope so.
Hold on. Go back to we got to shout out Eric Sundquist, KC, for these comments. He's got the stats on deck. If you want to read a couple of them off, it's pretty impressive stats. Basically, it's where these teams thrive and where they don't do well.
It's very interesting, and shout out to you, Eric, because obviously you're putting in the numbers and putting in the work.
Yeah.
The O Rangers, for all you fans out there, including the guy next to me, terrific Thursday races from the O Rangers.
Say that again because I might have owed over it.
So the O Rangers have terrific Thursday races, terrific Thursday finishes, and I'm very interested to see if you remember too. It's hard because we don't know what day is what, but.
Right.
Does that
stick out?
Does
to
that
me? Is
matter?
That
does that matter? Like, I would think if you had terrific Sunday finishes, that's huge. Thursday, I don't know.
You got to think. I mean, mental wise, I think you're right. But statistically, all these days do matter the same. It's like obviously the pressure gets down to Sunday. So a team that can perform well on a Saturday or Sunday, that's more impressive to maybe their coaching staff and that Marbles mentality. But as far as stats go, not particularly. But another one here, team primary pulls off +6 on Saturdays.
That's a stat that jumps off the board for me.
Yeah, it's impressive.
And it kind of contrary to what we just said. Like primary had a terrible week at the end of that last week.
I can't believe. I wonder if that factors in. I think it does because he posted this yesterday commented this yesterday. So
to my point though, is that why they're still around? They have a good Saturday. Is that why they're still in the top 12?
Right.
Another one. Minty's obviously missing them. Green Ducks, great Wednesdays and Thursdays from them. I would argue that's not as meaningful. Obviously, you want to be better on the weekend. A team that is very interesting, 2 teams that obviously have good weekends, is Purple Rockets. Saturdays are terrible for the Purple Rockets.
-5 on Saturdays.
And then Momo on Sundays, -4.
And basically what this means is like to the average score, like how they're performing. To see the Purple Rockets have that's a little bit worrisome for me. And I don't think either of us picked them to lose, but they're a team that we did mention is a younger team who hasn't had really seen any success in this Marble universe. So that worries me a little bit.
Absolutely. It's awesome. I mean, reading through these comments, there's a lot of great stats in here, great questions. Any questions we had? I didn't have any, but not to put you on the spot. Any questions you got over the week just about the track, about racers?
I don't think so. But what I will say, I'll say everyone just keep commenting. We'll, like we just did for Eric. I mean, that's an unbelievable comment. Whether it's a comment or a question, we'll shout you out. We'll talk about it on the podcast because it's really awesome to see and interact with all of you guys that are commenting. It's cool to see the thoughts that everyone has, and everyone has all this information that we don't necessarily have.
It's fantastic. I did see one comment from Gibby. I have to mention. He asked, "What's our favorite obstacle?" You know, we're not going to rank them all right now, but I think it's pretty clear what our favorite obstacle is. But what's your favorite obstacle?
It's a tough decision.
For me, it's easy. But you go ahead and answer, Gibby. What's your favorite?
For me, it comes
obstacle?
down to 3. It comes down to the dumpster, the battering ram, and the springs, because the springs are really what we've seen just absolutely launch some marbles, but which we didn't see last week from the springs. But I'm gonna go shocker here, and I'm gonna take the springs.
Wow.
I just love what they can do if they make contact at the right time.
Yeah, wow, that's tough. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that.
Are you a ball bearings guy?
I'm a ball bearings guy through and through.
Me too.
Battering ram is probably a close second, especially after this this week. Ball bearings are classic. Yeah, and seeing the ball bearings at the fidget spinner, I think that's going to be awesome going forward.
It's going to be a really good week. So hold on to your hats. And next week we'll be doing. We'll decide what it is. We're either going to do power rankings of these top 10 marbles, or
awesome.
We'll just do how we think they're going to finish. We'll do next week's episode. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be a pretty epic one for the top 10.
Top 10 is going to be awesome.
It's going to be
awesome. We're really getting down to it, and obviously I can't keep track of weeks, but in 2 weeks now we're going to do single day races, which will be insane.
So that's for the final week, but that will we're going to be doing a little bit more frequent episodes as the races become more frequent and elimination becomes more frequent. We'll be bringing you guys more content.
Sure. Yeah, it's going to be
awesome. So you got anything else, Jim?
No, like I said, it's been awesome. Subscribe to the YouTube.
Oh, yeah. And Spotify,
Instagram's
wherever.
been great. We've been working with Yelly. He's been great.
Yeah.
The response has been awesome. So just keep liking, keep subscribing, and tell us your thoughts, questions, hopefully I get the mic close to my mouth.
I think you did. I was actually keeping an eye on it. I think you did well.
I've been gluing it to my mouth. So hopefully it's
not too loud.
And tell us your thoughts. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get a little hate in the comments. I think I had a controversial episode. Yeah. I pissed a couple fan bases off.
Maybe.
That's for sure.
But hey, that's what we're up here for.
I love
good entertainment.
Love it. So
all right.
Lime up.
Oh, I didn't even say rolling in at the beginning of on this podcast. We might have to cancel this whole thing and redo it. But hey,
Rangers gonna be rolling on out after this week.
The Rangers, I won't wear this shirt again. We're also gonna make some kind of bet for the top 10 if the Limers and our Rangers make it through this week.
Love it.
We'll keep you posted on that.
Zucchini shirts.
Zoomkini.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Thanks for
somebody
tuning
find
in.
that.
Somebody find that. Thanks for tuning in. We're rolling out. We'll see you next week.
Peace.
See ya.